Hey team, here I am live for the Wednesday live stream. I was having an issue going live on my scheduled live stream. I have not done a scheduled live stream before, so there was an issue with that. So if you're coming in here, hit the like button, say where you're from. I have had to just start another live stream other than the scheduled one that I had put up. Just while we're waiting for people to get in here, I'm going to play a little music from Los Phoenix. Running, man. Hit the like button if you're getting in here, please. Like and subscribe. Running, man. So you want smoke? Where you running, man? Usain Bolt, hey, you running, man. You gonna give to it all they running, man. Waiting for you to break a sweat. Hold on, wait a minute. And play my chest. It's almost like the only time you ever call me is to ask, Phoenix, are you famous yet? Stand tall, never back down. If I do, then walk around with a black cloud. Yeah, God's plan, how I planned out. On another planet, I'm the man now. I'm the best rapper from the 378 cents. 378 cents. We educate kids, we demonstrate this. Hallelujah, it's a celebration. Please elevate this. I don't mean to brag, I don't mean to boast. Every time you see me though, looking like you seen a ghost. Even though I know I wanna flex like I'm G.I. Joe. Here we go, Toronto more, bound to fall like dominoes. Ice cold like I'm in the snow. Ice pick, you already know. iPhone full of hits that I made for the kids on my trip, so they know that they're not alone. Sorry bro, I gotta go back to the drawing board. Now I'm touring more. Look inside of the mirror, what I'm recording for. I'm pretty sure that I can go knock door to door until I'm ready to pull up to your city. Another minute. Running, man. Then we'll get into it. Running, man. Usain Bolt, hey, you're running, man. You're gonna give the widow they running. Hit the like button if you're getting in here. Hit the like and subscribe. Boat, how you running, man? You gonna give to it all they running, man. James and the John preach heights that I try and reach. Expand my wings, fly high with defiant speech. It's telepathic transmission, dedication, tradition. The limits are being expanded. My mention makes me feel lonely. Two-seater arenas, amusement was never for keeps. Take 3 notions of Phoenix. Open up, believe in your peace. Take a picture. The comfort zone must be bridged. Running, man. So you want smoke? Where you running, man? Usain Bolt, how you running, man? You gonna give? Shout out to the Green Tea team. That was Los Phoenix, Running Man. Los Phoenix does all of the introductory music for the Green Tea intro. That's his. I shout out Ted Neaton. Yeah, so Green Tea, Los Phoenix, he does all of the intro music. It is my son. I'll leave a link. I leave a link in the description box for all of my videos. Would be great to go over there, like and subscribe to his channel. He's creating some really good original content. Los Phoenix. Yeah, really good young Kiwi artist. Yeah, hit the like button if you're getting in here, team. So welcome to the Green Tea team for this. Yeah, big ups. Cheers. Thanks, Ted. I had set it up for the scheduled live stream. I have never done that before. Normally I just go live, and it didn't automatically go live at 8 p.m. So I've just started another live stream. So I need to work on that, getting the scheduled live streams coming up. Is the audio and visual okay for those watching? Can you hear me okay? See me okay? And shout out, let us know whereabouts in the world you're from. That would be really good. It is Wednesday evening here in Taupo, New Zealand. Thanks, Ted. Yeah. Today we're going to be looking at, hit the like and subscribe button if you're getting in here and you're not already subscribed. The sheep need to hear. Shout out.
Yeah. How do we want to hand society over to the next generation? Thank you. Thank you. Over the last years, we are hearing a lot about how we want to hand the planet over, the state of the planet to the next generation, the water, the climate, the this, that, and the other. All of these things. This is the part of the narrative that is getting pushed. The planet, whatever we need to do to get the planet right. And I've been really thinking about how do we want to hand society over to the next generation? What sort of society do we want to live in? India represent, yeah, Bangalore, India. Shout out to India. Blessings from India. And how do we want to hand society over to the next generation, the young ones coming through? Not just about how we want to hand the planet over to the next generation. My last video, I put what have we learned in the last year of the pandemic? We have learned that the test is inaccurate. We have learned that the World Health Organization is untrustworthy. One of the Green Tea team members also mentioned that we have learned that our freedoms and rights that we thought we had here in New Zealand, Canada, England, the Commonwealth countries, America as well, the freedoms we thought we had could be taken away, and at a moment's notice. That those freedoms and rights, in New Zealand we have the Bill of Rights Act 1990. It protects, or we thought it protected, our freedom of movement, freedom of association, freedom of religious expression, freedom of speech, freedom to refuse a medical treatment. So these things we thought were enshrined as our inalienable human rights. And as we have seen around the world and in New Zealand, that this is not the case. In Perth, Australia at the moment, one case of the new strain of the V word 19 and 2.5 million people have had all of those freedoms, or many of those freedoms, taken away like that. And I'm a Generation X guy. I was born in the 70s. I'm not a baby boomer. But looking at the baby boomer generation, which is 1945 to 1965, and for a lot of my life, there's a lot of things that the baby boomers enjoyed. They enjoyed very affordable housing. If you had a reasonable job, you could buy a house, you could have a wife, you could bring up children, you could work a reasonably paying job, not a super high paying job, and pay off that house. Now in New Zealand, Canada, Australia, England, buying a house is something for elite people. House prices are super expensive. Average house price of $1 million New Zealand dollars in Auckland. The average house price in New Zealand, $700,000. It is very difficult for people to get into housing. So do we want to hand society over for ourselves and to the next generation with something that other generations have enjoyed, and now that is not something that can be given to the next generation? I'm really mindful that kicking something down the road, and then waiting for someone else to fix it, that may seem like a good idea. I want to stand and make sure that we do the work, we hand things over that are going to work long term. Things that may have seemed like good ideas, like a government paid retirement scheme for everyone over 60 at the time when it came out. It is not affordable. The population is not there to sustain that. We need to tell younger people to save more, and this type of thing. I'll just read a couple of chats here. I love nothing more than punishing boomers with nothing but the absolute truth of today. Yeah, thanks, Ted Laxon. I don't want to get into the getting into boomers, although boomers need to look at what they have had. They have had jobs, an abundance of jobs, an abundance of low cost of living. They have enjoyed free healthcare, retirement schemes. They have lived large. They have lived large. If I get to that retirement type age and I look back and my children and grandchildren have nothing that I had, I will look in the mirror and go, the ball was dropped by me, but I did not hand it over, and I would like to hand things over better. I would, even if it means how I live at the moment, I have to adjust that. You know, I am not I'm not fooled by you will have free stuff. Free stuff. I need to know how that free stuff is going to be paid for. You know, how in the long term is that going to work out and be paid for? Yes, they are greedy boomers. You could say greedy. You could say naive. You could say they were just floating along and, oh yeah, free stuff. Oh yeah, this, healthcare that's free, that just comes out of the taxes. And we see now in New Zealand, we have hit the like and subscribe button if you're just getting in here. And, they enjoyed a good public health system. Now, the public health system, they have boards, they put you on a scale of 1 to 10 for elective surgeries if it's unimportant and important age and your demographic fits into that. So the public health system is not as good as it was. The housing affordability is now, hey, and boomers have houses. We know that. Gen Xers, I'm a Generation Xers. A lot of us have houses. I've had houses. I'm not saying I have enjoyed a part of that end of that boomer era. But how do we want to hand things over in a sustainable way? How can we make society freer? Like, that's one big thing that most of us have enjoyed is freedom of speech and expression. We have lived in a free, open society where people yes, yeah, right, Ted. I'm miles away from boomer. I'm a decade almost away from being a boomer. But I enjoyed that time. There was a time when I bought my first house. $100,000 my first house was, and I almost paid it off on a modest income. That same house now is worth 500,000. Yeah, and it's it's disproportionate. Also that freedom of speech. I posted something the other day about the World Doctors Alliance, a group of 900 doctors and specialists who have spoken up against the V-word 19 pandemic. They have said that the statistical numbers for the pandemic are the same as a seasonal flu virus. They have, and I call it a pandemic because they're rolling out a plan hiding behind the V word. They're hiding behind that to roll out a plan. It affects elderly, sick people. We know that the average age of a person passing away is in their 80s, early 80s, with 2 or more serious health conditions. These are the highest risk people, the easiest people to influence the numbers if you want to push an agenda. And yeah. Okay, TJ, Antipas, shout out TJ. And TJ commented on one of my previous videos showing one thing we really noticed is in an instant, these governments now are locking people down. 2.5 million people locked down. This is a prison term, locking down. This is what the governments use, that we are locking down. And that's what they do with prisoners when there's riots and things. They lock them in their cells. They reduce their privileges. So they are using this prison terminology. And one case, they are locking people down, taking away all of their freedoms and rights for a week, allegedly. It could be longer. Climate change, TJ says, climate change can't get much greedy than that. Next minute, be part of the injectable trial by voluntary consent, phase 1 of 3. Yeah. It's why anyone would want to get the experimental V-word 19 vax. They have said if you get it, you still have to wear a mask, you still have to social distance, you still have to lock down, you still cannot travel, even if you receive the shots, and then you can still get it. And you could get injured from it. People are passing away from it. There's things coming out about people getting injured and passing away. But are they publicizing that? Are they letting people know that? That's why there is such a high rate of V-word 19 vax hesitancy. I'm just mindful of what I say about that. Yeah, that's one thing I do respect about the boomers. They do have a good work ethic. Yeah, and they have nice grey beards and hair. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm just going to quickly read this paragraph because in this book I'm reading, Only Love by Sri Dayamata, at the moment we are hearing this battle between light and dark, good and evil, freedom and choice, or fear and control. And I read this paragraph today. It was uplifting for me, and being in that strong, loving, centered vibration allows us to make better decisions, and it allows us to be better people rather than looking to these governmental figures, or like people look to Dr. Fauci and creepy Bill 10 push-up Gates as if they are some type of deity, some people, some ordained one who we need to look up to. And I think if we can look into ourselves more, okay, so Sri Dayamata, Only Love, talking about the Christian Bible. The scripture says, thou shalt have no gods before me. I, the Lord, thy Lord, am a jealous God. The Lord wasn't saying this to renuntants only. He was speaking to all mankind, all his children. He was being quite realistic. He meant, my dears, I have given you reason, intelligence, discrimination, and the voice of conscience, our conscience. These things, when we know something's not right, our conscience tells us to show you the difference between right and wrong, lies and truth, honesty and dishonesty. You can hear it, you can see it. Where am I? Dishonesty between right and wrong. I have done everything I can to help you become a happy individual reflecting divinity, my image within you. Now live your life, pursue what you want, but do not forget me. When you divorce yourself from me, from the one who has given you life, who has instilled in you divine qualities, you lose your way. Then God is no longer first place in your life. You have put other things in his place. I thought that was good. Just saying, Mike Martin's in the house. God bless Mike Martin's, mighty Mike. So we're looking to ourselves, to our fellow man, our brothers and sisters from all around the world for support, to be an example of how we want to be. Because God bless, as I was saying, if the society we hand over to our children, our grandchildren, and the society we live in is not as free, does not enjoy the same quality of life, the same affordability of living. You know, in New Zealand, food used to be inexpensive. Housing was comparable to average wages. People could easily, these sort of things are moving away. And what can we do? What can we do to improve that? And one of the things I think is one of the things I think has happened is society has been dumbed down. I think people are not being as critical in their thinking as they previously were, or they are not being as critical thinking or feeling they can voice their opinions that go against the narrative, because we see at the moment the control of the narrative is huge. They are trying to control what we are receiving. You know, Dr. Rashid Batard, you know, a lot of his things removed from the internet. World Doctors Alliance, their things removed from the internet. People are being very mindful. So that freedom of speech that our parents enjoyed, that we have enjoyed for a lot of our lives, we are seeing that being eroded away. Our rights and freedoms are being etched away. And as I have said, people are complying and are ignorant in a bubble of compliance and ignorance. And thanks, brother. Thanks, brother Mike. I appreciate that. Yeah, TJ just made a good point about fluoride. And I've talked to Mike about this when I spoke on his channel. In New Zealand, and TJ can attest to this, we are a land of warriors. I have played rugby league. I have done martial arts. The men in New Zealand, and I know Canada, the ice hockey guys are men's men, tough men. I have spent a lot of time with Māori men. You know, they take no shit. They are strong men. They are alpha men. And the fluoride, a lot of places have fluoride in the water, which we know is a toxic chemical. We know it reduces IQ points. We know it can reduce a man's testosterone. I filter my water. that stuff ain't going near me. Yeah, and yeah, thanks, Mike. Appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, what do you mean by technology, TJ? If that's you mean the Instagram and the TikTok? Yeah, yeah. The other day I was flicking through a feed and there was in slow motion. It just popped up a chick in hot pants and a tank top shooting a gun in slow motion. 4 million views. Hey, she was an attractive chick, not having resources for technology. Okay, yeah. So some of the media. Oh, you get mountain water, but you're a bit of a country boy there with your 8,000 people. 50% of New Zealand's population drinks fluoridated water. The town I live in, Taupo, New Zealand, half of the town gets fluoridated water. The other half does not get fluoridated water. I am really going to be doing a push with my council to get that fluoride taken out of the water. My children, my grandchildren, my parents are drinking that water. I do not want them ingesting poison. So there has been a dumbing down of society. People are not as willing to stand up. And it's really important, in my opinion, for people to take personal responsibility, because we can't look at how we hand society over to the next generation and blame a politician or blame someone. we all have to take personal responsibility for how if house prices are unaffordable and the average person, we have to take responsibility for that. We have to make our voices heard. And any resistance or any going against the narrative which is going a certain way is powerful. And I think the media is doing that a lot, is disconnecting that divide and rule type tactic. So people think that, oh, I'm the only one who thinks like that. There's not millions upon millions. We saw 1 million people protesting in Germany against their rights and freedoms being taken away. People that have lived in places like East Germany, Soviet Russia, Venezuela, anyone who has been around places where freedom of speech has been taken away, government has overreached, they know the importance of protecting these things. They will not take a knee to that. That's why in Germany, 1 million people, a huge protest. They may have called it a Trump rally. I don't know. That's how they're trying to push it. A right wing. Yeah, they did. They pushed it as a right wing. They went to the Reichstag and they did push it as a right wing rally. Right wing basically just means, we call it centre right, that you want a little less government, you want a little bit more of your own autonomy to guide your own direction, to take your life in your own way, less tax, get on. The private sector drives the economy. People who work employ people, their income, it feeds the society. We are far better to have a buoyant employment market where people can easily go out and get jobs and upskill and this sort of thing than a buoyant social welfare market where someone can easily, we're seeing it now, easily get on a benefit, easily get free money. I know of guys that are 30 years old, like strong, healthy guys that are doing nothing. They haven't for like months. They're just sitting around getting free money, playing video games and, losing their mojo. The value of working, the value of, doing good work in the world, that means a lot to people, Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. The second, Mike just said, the second wave gun grab in New Zealand. One shooting, all the guns get taken away. They disarm the population. And then in the same breath, they disarmed the New Zealand population, hunters, farmers, law-abiding folks took away their guns, and in the same breath, in the same months, they tried to arm the police. This is one of the 8 signs of start of a tyrannical government, that they disarm the population and they arm themselves. This is the signs to it. Then they control the media narrative. We're seeing these things coming in. Yeah. And they will not let people know that there is millions upon millions of people who are not buying the narrative. They do not trust 10 push-up Gates. I think we should be calling him 5 push-up Gates, because 10's a little bit alpha. Yeah, and I am not in any way fooled by his money, his philanthropy. That does not tell me the character of that man. His companies he has worked with have been charged for injuring people in India with polio vax. You know what I'm saying? These sorts of things. Yeah. That's a good point, Ted. They are encouraging people not to work. Ted says, why work for a job for 500 or stay home and get 300? Yeah. And then you get 300 and then you get penalized if you start working. You are incentivized to stay home. But who wants to stay home? Who wants to stay home and, swipe on Tinder or do whatever young people do? I don't know. Play video games. I don't do that. I want to get out there. I want to be productive. I want to build and grow. I'm not a stocks guy. I've bought some houses. I've done some houses up and this sort of thing. But I want freedom and a fair playing field. The government just brought in a new tax in New Zealand. Previously, the tax rates, I believe, don't quote me, were 17%, 22%, and the highest was 30 or 33%. The government now, on any money in the bank that is not logged on a tax rate in New Zealand, gets taxed at 39%. You sell a house, you get 500,000, you put it in a term deposit, you're getting paid interest. If you do not log your tax rate, that money now in New Zealand will be taxed at 39% of any interest you earn. The government takes 39% unless you go into and change your tax rate. And, this is a subtle way that they can, bump up the tax. And then it's by stealth. And then no one says, really? You've just bumped up the tax rate by, 7, 8 points. And then there's elderly people have got all their money and they haven't put in a tax rate, and the government's just, is this fair? Is this honest? Because if you overtax people, you tax them out of their initiative. In communist Russia, one of their sayings was, they pretend to pay us and we pretend to work. It was so, they pretend to pay us and we pretend to, there's no incentivization for doing work. The hard workers, the go-getters, they benefit from that. If you level the playing field like universal basic income, where every person gets that is just a dumbing down of people. That is just, okay, I'm going to do nothing and get money. Yeah. What's that? Nitin Phillip, we had a Trump-style riot in the capital on the 26th of January. Is that in India, Nitin? Yeah. Yeah. I'm doing at the moment, Mike, I'm doing a pull-up challenge, a chin-up challenge. I've been doing it on week 3, my max pull-up challenge, and I'm up to 7. I'm on 7 chin-ups. Yeah. Indians get it. Yeah, Indians. Yeah, if they're protesting, and in New Zealand they are really getting stuck into our farmers. They are passing laws that are really encroaching on private property rights. And a big part of a leftist, communist, socialist agenda is taking away private property rights. In the South Island in New Zealand, they have put dates that farmers have to have their crops sown by. And if they will be fined if they plant seeds after this time. Is that on their private land? And with the Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, a lot of people cannot cut down trees on their land. They can't put gardens in their houses. There's just these subtle, as David Icke calls it, the totalitarian tiptoe. Just incremental little steps. They've done a full-out blitz on us with the V-word 19 pandemic. So we now know that they want to take away our freedom of movement, freedom of association, freedom of to refuse a medical treatment. They're now talking about the vaccine passports, that you need this. Yeah. The dairy farmers in New Zealand are getting shafted. Yeah. I don't know if it's similar in Canada, the hard-working Canadians. And I went to Canada in 2018. I have family in Canada. I resonate with Canada. Canada's been good to my family. They live in Toronto. There's a lot of similarities with these Commonwealth countries. And it is interesting to see, and Mike Martins has talked about this, if, Perth has just locked down for one case of the V word, new variant, the Kent variant. Kent, England, that's a city in England. And one case, it's just the case, the person is not in hospital. They are okay. Lockdown. 2.5 million people basically incarcerated, their livelihoods, their incomes, their mental health. Many enjoyed lockdown, pampered here in New Zealand. Yeah. Many did enjoy the lockdown, pampered here in New Zealand. Shout out, TJ. You know, I respect you, bro. You got it. Killed with kindness. For these weeks of lockdowns, I was like, where are the people speaking out? Where are the people that are saying, get out of here, get away from my freedom? You cannot make me stay at home. That goes against my Bill of Rights. Tranquilized by fear and free money. Yeah. And we know 91% compliance to those initial lockdown restrictions, which were hard. You know, you had to, yeah. Canada is finished. City dwellers, yeah. That's I'm praying that this the blessing in this, as we are seeing it now, it is clear to see, and people are awakening. And this media push to let people think that they are disconnected, that there is not millions upon millions of people who are against this. They are doing very well at that. They are doing very well at letting people think that they are alone, but we are not. We are united. There is a huge awakening, and it is of the light, because you know freedom and choice is a divine law. We are divinely endowed, that can never be taken away from us by any dictator, any socialist, communist, any oppressive totalitarian leader. And we have seen this. We have lots of history. We know that it is our inalienable God-given right for free choice and volition, you know. And one of the Green Tea team members was saying, oh, all of this freedom, all of this choice. We have the freedom and choice, but we are living within the universal natural divine laws. If we break those universal natural divine laws, we have to pay the price with good, we get the good rewards, or the negative. If we are unhealthy and do not exercise and keep bad company, that is, we are breaking a divine law, and we get the fruit of that tree. If we are mixing with good people, if we are doing our best, if we are keeping our conscience clear, keeping our vibration high, keeping our love in the love vibration, keeping in the freedom and choice vibration, we get that reward. We eat that fruit. And it doesn't matter if you are non-religious or spiritual. A lot of the best people I know follow no religious path, no spiritual path. They are just good people. Yeah. And Mike has just said the New Zealand economy is 79% backed by housing, exporting homes to Chinese investors. And I had a friend who went up to Hamilton, which is a city which is 2 hours drive away, one of the biggest cities in New Zealand, looking for a place to rent. And the place that she went to was owned by a Korean woman. A nice house, place to rent. The other place was owned by a Chinese woman. My friend in Taupo was selling a house. He has had an offer from a Chinese person. There is a lot of investment, Chinese investors and Asian investors in the New Zealand market. You walk down our main street in New Zealand, Queen Street, one of our biggest city. The signs are mainly in an Asian language. And I love our Asian brothers and sisters. I've been to Japan. I've got lots of Chinese friends. Shout out to China. Yeah. And yeah, our economies, how can in a recession with thousands upon thousands, tens of thousands of unemployed, can housing be going up? Please explain that to me. Housing, there is a bubble on a bubble. Houses are so overpriced, 40 to 100%, maybe even more over their value. Yeah. Okay, Ted Laxon says, Tristan, what about all the New Zealand musicians who have not protested and promised headlines in New Zealand? Yeah, I have noticed a big lack of musicians, public figures, church figures, anyone who's out in the public news media. The news media is basically a propaganda arm of whatever the government pays them. There is no independence there. You know, I am completely independent. I do not get paid. Although if you would like to make a donation, I leave a Kiwi account number, but I have not received any money at this stage. But I am trying to upgrade my equipment so I can bring a better product to the green tea team. And for me, it is, I speak up. People get into me. I've had a video removed. I post all of this content on my social media. I have had family members be upset with me. I have been told I do not care about old people. I've been told I should leave New Zealand. I am a proud New Zealander. I was born and bred here. My parents were immigrants. They immigrated from Scotland and England. So I have European ancestry, but I am a first generation born and bred Kiwi. And I want to hand this country over better than I found it, better than I enjoyed it. And these holes in our Bill of Rights, that means that our freedoms and rights can be taken away, and they are basically just written there on paper. That needs to change. We need some type of constitution, some type of republic where, that it cannot be, they are inalienable, immutable. They cannot be taken away because we know an agenda is being pushed. They're saying all of these, how can they predict all of these years ahead that we're going to be under restrictions, that we're going to need to social distance or not travel? This is all part of, they want to control us. They want us to take it. They have to get us to take, we have to, if we do not comply, it's like the sun hitting a cloud and it burns away instantly, burns away. If we just stand up and say, no, I'm out, there's so few of them and we have the power. Yeah. Mike has just said, because housing is a commodity now, not an asset. Yeah. It's just so unfortunate that it has progressed like that. And I have made money on housing. I'm not preaching from any place of, but in a way, I'm glad I have been out of the housing market for a while. And my daughter and her husband want to buy a house. So I'm trying to work with them, and I see the difficulties and the rent, the cost for running businesses, all of this. It drives the gap between rich and poor apart. Yeah. Ted Laxton says, I'm rolling up a big fatty, and I know I could write better protest song than 660, could he? You'll roll up a big fatty. You'll think you can write a better protest song than 660. Then you'll have the munchies. Then you'll go to sleep, and then you won't do it. Not much happens positive with the I will roll a big fatty. You'll roll a big fatty and then eat chocolate, probably. I don't know. I don't do that. I want to stay sharp. I want to stay on the ball. I have freedoms. I have family. I have things to protect. I have things I want to get done. But I was a teenager once, and I live in New Zealand. Yeah. So, Mike, what do you think could be done to improve the housing situation? Could there be some type of change, taking foreign buyers right out? I don't know. If you guys have any suggestions about how you think we can hand society over better, yeah. Shout out, Join the Dots. Good to have you in here. Yeah, don't mask up. Do not. I saw a girl walking down the road today. Yeah, young girl, teenager, maybe early 20s. You know, she had a mask on, Midsummer's Day, walking on her own with no one around. You know, that is a sign of, yeah, someone who has drunk the Kool-Aid on a hot summer's day with 20 people. Yeah, it's yeah, the numbers aren't there for that sort of behavior. Yeah, yeah, and yeah, your home should be 4.5 times your annual income and stay within wages and have more money for food. Yeah, there was a time where New Zealand was like that. I was saying my first house that I bought in New Zealand in the 90s, I paid $100,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-story on a 800 square meter section. It was a doer-upper. I did it up. I had a great time. My kids got brought up in that house, but it was affordable. You could buy a doer-upper and then do the work and move up. And I moved up. Yeah. But that time is gone. That time is, yeah. So, yeah, it's interesting times. Okay. We're going to go for another 5 minutes. And also our public health system that has deteriorated over the years. Now in New Zealand, they have boards and waiting lists, and you can get for elective surgeries put on a waiting list from, you get graded 1 to 10. So the higher up you are, the more you can, I've had parents and grandparents be put on these waiting lists. So the public health system, so things that seemed like a good idea at the beginning, public health system, retirement income, the pension system, all of these things, we need to look what is sustainable. But one of the important things, 21 times income for the average home in Toronto. Yeah, unaffordable much. Yeah. Shout out Johnny Utah. Good to have you in the house. So these things that started out, we need to look long term. If our rights and freedoms are not enshrined and inalienable and immutable and cannot be taken away, we need to put that in place. At the moment, we are heading towards a communist China filtration system over our freedom of speech. I could say 1 or 2 words here that would be not harm anyone, but would go against the narrative that is being pushed by our government and governments around the world, and it would be removed. They are trying so hard to control the narrative because they know every person that awakens is a person that they cannot get to submit, that is a person that is going to stop their plan. I have had coming up towards 20,000 people, and I just walk around just chatting stuff that, the comments of the Green Tea team and other people, for me, they're like an oasis in a desert because you hear so much about, Masker to do X, Y, and Z. And there's so many people that with critical thinking and free thinking are saying, hey, I'm out. That is, yeah, I am going to go to work. I was talking to a woman the other day, and if my mother was in a home, an old person's home, and I went to see her and they said I could not go, I may or may not kick, the door would be getting a kick. I would not be posting a YouTube video of my mother inside an old person's home. She is not. She's all good. And with me putting my hand on the window, that goes against my human rights. There would be a price to pay for that. They do not have the right to do that. Yeah. I visited people, may or may not, during the lockdowns. I had family. I had people who needed my attention, you know. Hey, I may or may not have done it stealthily, but yeah, the more people that comply, yeah, the more people, yeah. If people just sit around on their knees, and silence is compliance. If you say nothing, that's all they need. They do not need you to say yes or no. Silence is a form of saying yes. Yeah, 2.5 million people locked down in Perth. Our brothers and sisters, their businesses getting crashed, their livelihoods. We know that the effects of lockdowns are more harmful than the V word 19 scamdemic. We know that. And 2.5 million for one case, they can do it because. And I'm not a protest kind of get out. I'm like, go about, if you choose your lawful business, you know, people's businesses are crashing. Government debt is just our children and grandchildren. Uh, Anyone who is okay with the government borrowing, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's the dumbing down. That is the dumbing down of society, of people, because the only way they can implement this plan of a more controlled lockdown society is for us to not critically think, for not connect with each other, and to be silent. Because one person saying something, one person sending an email, one person thinking differently, the power of thought, the power of prayer, the power of, yeah, the individual, the power, that is where the power, we have the power, and they know that they are scared of us. That's why they are working so hard to control the narrative, to try and disempower us. And yeah, the more we are empowered, the less this will happen. Yeah. And try and bone chicks on Grinder. Ted Laxon. I'm not up with the play on that, but I don't think Grinder is the one for the ladies. Yeah. Yeah, and it's not even about fighting back. It's about, you know, sending just getting at, just non-compliance, saying no, letting your letting your disagreement with what is happening being heard. Silence is compliance. If they put it, these are compliance tests. Are we going to lock down? If everyone just does it, they go, okay, we can do that. We do this. Oh, they're doing that. The minute that people go, oh no, they're not doing that, then they have to readjust. Then they go, oh yeah, this is happening. Hit the like and subscribe button if you, yeah, if you're coming in here. We have more people watching now than watches the mainstream news. And there is a reason why they have to pay to keep the news afloat. That is their propaganda arm. That is the dinosaur media. People know you have to have a disconnected consciousness to think that everything they say is accurate. Because how can someone, a media, promote, like for the president Donald Trump, 4 or 5 years of negative. That is where is the balance? You don't even have to like him to see the. Hey, I don't even just say someone doesn't like him. You can, if you are critically thinking, you can see that the balance is not there. It is out the window. It is, yeah, and yeah. Okay, TJ just commented. TJ's one of the green tea team OGs. If I knew how to make him a moderator in my chat, but I've only done this. Is only my 5th live stream. Who cares what rule makers wannabe royals think and say? I'm out of their lane jurisdiction of fiction. Sweet rhyme. But the electron ballistic missile rockets in Mahai, New Zealand, drop into space regardless. I don't know if I said that word wrong. mahi New Zealand drop into space regardless. I'm drinking my green tea. Yeah. And there's a reason I do all of my videos outside. That is a small act of resistance. Rain or winter, outside. Hey, my audio sometimes is average. But, you know, I am outside. Day one of the lockdown, I was outside. You know, legally, I was legally outside. And I know a lot of people are locked down all around the world. So I go outside, cold and wet. I get out there. That is, you know, it's just subtle. It's just a subtle kind of, hey, I am free to do this. You know, I'm a free sovereign being. Yeah. Mike Martin's commented, more people committed, suicide in Japan. Yeah. And the numbers are so low in Japan, South Korea, New Zealand, Australia. The numbers are just, they are ridiculously low. Ivor Cummins has done really good videos looking at the Oceania bubble and the my picture's not very good, and the European kind of North America bubble, and how there's big differences in the deaths per million, and you cannot compare the two kind of hemispheres in a one-on-one comparison. And a lot of it they believe is to do with the overall health and T-cell immunity of the elderly populations, and the fact that it came to us in summer when people were outdoor and our immunities were stronger. Yeah. Blunt News says banks with foreclosed homes on the balance sheet must be forced to dump them on the open market. Yeah. I'm waiting. I am waiting for that to happen. I'm waiting for the bubbles to burst and the house prices to come down. I've told my daughter to hold off. I've got friends who are looking at buying houses. But if you get away into the middle of nowhere, you can still buy an affordable shack in New Zealand. And our government came in on the back of affordable housing. That was their main push. We're going to affordable housing, reducing the gap between rich and poor, and bringing poverty levels down. If I applied for a job and I said, I am going to do these things for you, and if you hire me, and then I got hired for this job, and then I delivered as our government has delivered, I would not have a job, because housing has basically doubled. Childhood poverty is worse than it was. The cost of living is worse by far. Every metric that the government got in on, they have failed on. And in the private sector, you would be out of a job. I have had a management job. I have worked for customers. If you promise and do not deliver, they go somewhere else. You do not have a job. And every metric the government has failed on. But the two things that the media says they've done good on is the Christchurch shooting and the taking away of guns. They drew up detailed legislation in 3 days to take the guns away, where they've had years to try and fix the housing, and they have done nada, nothing. They have done worse than nothing. They have just made it worse, and they just start another committee. Yeah. They have how someone on a low income can afford to go and buy food or pay rent in New Zealand, but they pump the welfare up. People are tranquilized by fear and free money. The welfare system disincentivizes people getting out there and working. Yeah, and like you look, this is the push towards the leftist, socialist, communist. The only way I feel better about our government in New Zealand is I look at Canada and Justin Trudeau. That's the only way I can feel any better about our government. Because, as Mike Martin says, what happens in New Zealand or Australia or Canada, it's a race to see how badly they can treat their people. Perth's got the instant lockdown. Oh, yeah. Next thing, yeah. Oh, New Zealand's raised the tax rate to 39% on any investments that are not put into a tax bracket. Oh, we can do that. Yeah. I watch what happens in Canada, Australia, England, because I know that these things, we are going to try and top it with our governments until people say, no, you cannot do that. You cannot take away our right of freedom of movement, freedom of association, freedom of speech and expression, freedom to choose not to get a medical treatment. Why would anyone on God's green earth choose to get the Q-tip test? You can be socially stigmatized. You can have you can be locked up. You can be taken away and locked up. And a lot of people think that's okay. A lot of people co-sign with that. Yeah. And thank the blessed Lord that these people yeah, we've got people who do not think like that. We have people that think that this is a gross breach of our personal rights and freedoms. We have detention camps in this country. Yeah, V word 19 detention camps. You have to pay for quarantine time. If you refuse to get the test in the quarantine camps, they can hold you for a longer period of time. This is stalags, this is gulag type behavior. If you just take your mind off the V word 19 and look at what they're doing, yeah, it is the Great Awakening. Things need to be fixed. Things need to be improved for us to hand society over better than we have enjoyed it. Okay. Mike Martins, banks need to go away, period, and go private, live in 1820s. Yeah, the gold-backed currency, where the money had real backing and value. TJ Antipas says, I can see Canada house prices got to work in the Aussie mines to afford Canadian $8.9 million to yeah, it is. Yeah, my brother lives in Auckland. His house is in the millions, in the millions. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But freedom and choice, fear and control. We have the choice. We have been endowed with that by the Creator. No politician, no, nothing can take that away from us. So the politicians, the they're our public servants, our elected officials work for us. We need to get that. It needs to be more of that, of the people, by the people, and for the people. You know, we are the power. We are the 99.9%. Not 10 push-up gates, not Jacinda, not Trudeau. They work for us. We need to be cognizant of that. And if they are breaking laws, they need to be held accountable. If we don't pay a ticket, if I got pulled, they're slowing down in New Zealand. They're slowing down all of the to travel between like Taupo and Auckland. They're slowing the speed limits down to 80 k's, 90 k's. They're called safe speed zones. Little acts of control. The other day I got pulled over, speed doing 10 k's over. It was a previously 100k. Now it's a 90k. I got a ticket. This is these little acts of controlling, trying to just, now it takes longer to get to a place. They're doing these, did we consent to having that reduced? A straight open road, with a median barrier, safe road. Now they just now it takes a truck driver longer to get to Auckland. Now it takes a truck driver longer to get to Wellington. These little things that they are little incremental steps. I am I'm not a fan of. It's been an hour, team. I've really enjoyed the live stream, and everyone's. Wendy Mason commented government policy is driving up the house prices. Yeah, 15 viewers. Shout out. I'm happy man. Yeah. If you got any closing comments, anything you'd like to say? And what I like about the comments in the Green Tea team and these alternative media channels, or these freedom and truth channels, is people can have differing opinions. People cannot see, they may vary in their, yeah. Yeah, you're preaching to the choir there, Wendy. You're preaching to the choir. Who is going to, they know that there's so many people are not going to take this. They know that people are, the vax hesitancy is super high. Yeah. Even people who are brainwashed to the narrative are awake to not taking that. We've seen one of the Green Tea teams sent me some info about the numbers of people that are passing away after receiving the shot. These are big numbers. People getting injured, people passing away, people having side effects. This is experimental. Has only got experimental use exemptions only. I was reading the CDC and other websites the other night, and it has not gone through the full range of tests and safety tests. Yeah. And it is an IQ test. They may be showing every man and his dog on the mainstream rolling up their sleeve, but I am not every man and their dog. I am a free sovereign being with a brain, and there is no way that I have the right to say no. Yeah. Give the love vaccine. Give the love vaccine. Give the courage vaccine. Give the critical thinking and free thinking vaccine. There are so many millions of us. David, I've got 1 million people listening to his live stream. That is the media's biggest push. They are trying to make us feel alone and separate, but we are united and together. We are in the light. The light is everything. The light is the planet. The light, yeah, the light creates the darkness. The darkness does not exist without light. They are two sides of the same coin. Suffering and darkness is a tool of the divine, because once we see it, we improve and better ourselves. Yeah, the hand of the divine creates a shadow as it is reaching down to help us up. We just need to be in that, supportive, loving, courageous. Listen to our conscience, our intuition. Tune into that, trust that. That's what I've noticed a lot. A lot of the women who are speaking up, they are in that strong woman intuition, and they see that something is not right. The men are starting to wake up and saying no. And the men have to wake up. The men have to protect and provide. Yeah. These are some of our core male. We can do that. Physically we are good at protecting. We can provide. We like work. We like to provide for our family. These are things that we are good at. Hey, we lose arguments to women. They are better at that. They are better at multitasking. I tried to set up a live stream to go, and then I had to start up a whole new stream. I did not know how. The first time I've done it, I was busy all day. I had like 15 minutes to prep it up, so I need to do a little research on that. I need to get my multitasking skills up. Yeah. Who's showing off? Mike's showing off? I don't think so. Mike's a humble man. Mike's a humble man because he lets people come on and share their opinions, and they have a very mixed range of people speaking on that. That is, and we need that mixture of opinions and life experiences and knowledge, because people are strong in different ways. I listen to people write comments, and I know that they could be journalists. I hear some people talk, and they are very good verbally. Wendy Mason says BBC reports the Astra was tested the last 3 months in Brazil, the UK, and South Africa. Where the new mutant straits are coming from. Yeah, the Kent strain, the South African strain. Yeah, we know that the BS strain has been coming down the pipe since the beginning of 2020. Yeah. TJ, work hard, play harder. Yeah, we get back in this life what we put out. Yeah, we get back. Yeah, we put out positivity. We put in the work. We see people. I like being around people who hustle, who have got stuff going on, who are questioning. Yeah, I've got a bit of a bug situation coming in here. Yeah. Wendy, good comment. Once you realize they are eugenicists, it all makes sense. How anyone cannot see the 5 push-up gates, 10 push-up gates, family history of wanting to reduce the world population. This is something that they co-sign on. They want the world to have less people, and it's not less of their people. It's less of the people that they think there should be less of, the hard-working, God-fearing people who are just working hard, playing hard, doing the best they can, doing good work in the world, helping their neighbors move, doing, helping their mates out, this type of thing. These are the salt of the earth people that are just doing their best. A saint is just a sinner who never gave up, who just makes mistakes, but makes mistakes, keeps trying to work and improve, trying to get ahead in life. Yeah, and that's all we're doing. We're just trying to do our best to pass things on, the society on, better than we have had it. Because for me, if I get to the end of my life and the society is passed on, I want it to be better than I enjoyed it. Yeah, more enjoyable, more freedom, more a better place for the young ones. And if that isn't the case, I'll be looking in the mirror, asking what I could have done, how I could have tried harder, what I could have done better, for myself, for my friends, my family, my loved ones. And yeah. So I'm going to sign out, everyone. God bless. Have courage. Speak your truth. Support each other. Have faith and have fun. Peace out.